The purpose of this video is to explain the assignments you are required to complete that fall into the weekly assignments category. Specifically, this category includes the quiz and discussion forum assignments. Unlike the exams and paper assignments, these assignments will be, as the name suggests, more regular weekly occurrences, will focus on a more limited amount of material, and will be worth fewer points. However, they will also be one of the primary ways in which you interact with the material, your classmates, and your instructor on a consistent and regular basis. Now, before we dive into explaining these points, there's one general issue that I want to explain from the outset. This video was made with a syllabus for a section of Philosophy 101 that was designed to be taught in the fall of 2021. For that reason, if you are not taking that class in that particular semester, then not everything you see on the syllabus or the Moodle page that I use in this video may apply to you. For instance, the number of quizzes and discussion forums you are required to complete, or the specific due dates for those assignments, both of those things could be different from what you see on this video as it applies to your particular class. So for that specific information which applies to your class and your section, please consult the course syllabus and weekly instructions which can be found through Moodle. Now, that being said, there are still many general points about these weekly assignments that will be important for you to know no matter when you are taking this class. And it is these general points that I plan to cover in this video. We will begin by discussing the quiz assignments. The quizzes have a variety of purposes. They provide a periodic check of a student's comprehension of the material, ensure important ideas are being understood, or in some cases, they are just there to make sure that students understand basic facts about how the class will work. Now, the first question you might have about the quizzes is this: how do I know if I need to complete a quiz in any given week? Well, to find out if some particular week of the course has a quiz and when that quiz is due, you can consult the course schedule on the syllabus or the instruction documents that I send out each week via email. Now, as an example, let's consider the week 1 area of the course schedule. Here we see in the assignment section that you are required to complete quiz 1, and that quiz is due by the end of the week, specifically by the end of the day on Sunday. Furthermore, the syllabus also provides additional information that tells you about the format of the quiz and its content. In this particular instance, we see that the quiz will consist of 10 true or false questions, that there will not be a time limit for quiz 1, and that you can make as many attempts as you want. Now, it is important to recognize that this will not always be the case. Other quizzes may have different question types or formats, more stringent time limits, and only permit you to make one attempt. However, you will always be able to find out that information by consulting the course schedule of the syllabus. In addition, you can also find the information pertaining to the quiz in the description of the quiz itself that is found on Moodle. Here again, we see that quiz 1 has no time limit, unlimited attempts, and will cover the material from lectures 1 and 2. Now, of course, these are just points about quiz 1, and again should not be necessarily assumed will be the case for other quizzes. Furthermore, I would also re-emphasize that this information can also be found on the weekly instruction documents that I send out via email. Now that we have a sense of how to find out basic information about the quizzes, when they are due, and what kinds of questions you will see on each quiz and the format of each quiz, it may be useful to see the mechanics of how to actually take a quiz. So currently you're looking at a Moodle page for this class, and you can see here we are looking at the program that will administer quiz 1. And I should say that all the quizzes will be taken through Moodle. So when you are confident with the material that's going to be on the quiz, you can go ahead and click on the link and you can begin the quiz. And so what you'll see here is that in this case there are 10 true or false questions, and the way you navigate the quiz is the following. Obviously you can select your answer to each question, and if you go down a little bit you can also move around the quiz. So if you want to skip ahead to a future question, or if you want to skip back, you can do any of that. Right, so you would simply go ahead and select your answers to each question. So now I've completed the quiz, and we'll say I've given the answer to all 10 questions, so I'm ready to finish the attempt. So when you are confident, you click on Finish Attempt right here, and you click Submit All and Finish. And once you do that, the quiz will tell you right away which questions you got right, which questions you got wrong. It'll also give you some feedback. So here it says I got the question correct, and it has an explanation. Here's one, it says I got incorrect, also an explanation. So you'll have that immediate feedback there, and you can see which questions you missed and which questions you answered correctly. Now, hopefully, you have a solid understanding of how to take the quizzes and how to find the information you will need to make sure you are prepared for those quizzes. Now, again, I want to emphasize the specific format of the quiz will differ depending on which quiz it is, and you can find that information in the areas I detailed previously. However, the basic mechanics of taking the quiz will always remain the same. The other type of assignment in the weekly assignments category is the discussion forums. I want to begin by saying something about the purpose of this assignment. If this class were being delivered in a face-to-face physical classroom setting, then ideally discussion and debate would be prominent aspects of every class session. While it is important to first understand the ideas and arguments that we will learn in this class, it is also of vital importance to be able to determine whether those arguments are sound or those ideas are true, and to engage in productive philosophical discussion that both broadens our understanding and can shape our beliefs and opinions on many important topics. While having space to discuss philosophical ideas is of vital importance, it is also unfortunately the most difficult thing to replicate in an online learning setting. So, in order to make sure that this is a component that's present in our class, we will make use of discussion forums that students will complete almost every week of the course. The point of this assignment will be to give you the opportunity to develop your ideas in conversation with your classmates as well as with your professor. Once again, it will be important to be able to find out when the discussion forums are due. We can find this information by consulting the weekly instruction documents as well as the course schedule on the syllabus. Again, we can use week 1 as an example. Here you see that you must complete discussion forum 1 during this week. Furthermore, you will notice that you have a first post due by the end of the day on Thursday of week 1, and response posts that are due at the end of the day on Sunday of week 1. You may be asking at this point, what is the difference between the first post and the response posts? Here we can consult the description of this difference that is given on the syllabus. As we will see shortly, each discussion forum has a specific prompt that you are required to respond to. The first post is the post that you make in response to that prompt. Speaking generally, and remember there could at times be exceptions, so always consult the course schedule for exact due dates, but again, speaking generally, your first post will be due by the end of the day on Thursday of each week. The response posts, by contrast, are your responses to the posts of other people. That means either your classmates or myself. And once again, speaking in a general way, in the vast majority of cases, Your response posts will be due by the end of the day on Sunday of each week. Let's look at a specific example. On your screen is the area on Moodle for Discussion Forum 1. Let's click on the link for that discussion forum. When we open up the link for this discussion forum, we see two different types of threads are already present. There's an Ask the Professor thread, and there's a thread that says Discussion Forum 1, Question 1. I should first explain the difference between these threads, and I will start with the Ask the Professor thread. The Ask the Professor thread is there to give you an easy way to ask questions about the material for that week, questions that you think other students might also benefit from seeing the answer to, and therefore, these are questions which it would make sense for me to answer publicly instead of in a personal email correspondence. Now, I check these threads regularly, and I encourage you to take advantage of these threads as an easy way to get in touch with me to clear up any confusion you might have about the material, or even if you just want to learn more about some particular topic. However, any posts you make in this thread do not count toward the required 3 posts you need to make for each discussion forum. And remember, those 3 posts are the following: a first post that is a response to the prompt and generally due by the end of the day on Thursday, and 2 response posts in response to your other classmates or myself. So, while again I do encourage you to make use of the Ask the Professor thread if you find it helpful, it will not count toward the discussion forum requirements. Now, let's take a look at the discussion question thread for Forum 1. When we open this thread, we can see the prompt for the discussion question. So, your first post will be a response to this specific prompt, and then your response posts will be a response to the post that others make also in response to this prompt. Now, there is an important logistical point I need to make here. The idea here is that everyone's posts will be in the same place discussing the same topic. So when you reply to the prompt, you should not start a new thread of your own. If everyone did this, then it would result in the discussion being fragmented over a number of different threads, and that's really not the dynamic I'm attempting to create. Thus, when you reply to the discussion prompt, simply click Reply and make your post in the thread that already exists. Then later, you will return and make responses to the posts of your other classmates or to myself, the professor for the class. In the example we just examined, there was only one discussion forum question. However, that will not always be the case. In some cases, there will be more than one discussion forum question that you can respond to. For example, consider the example of discussion forum 3. Here we have 2 separate discussion questions, discussion question 1 and discussion question 2. In this case, do you need to respond to both of these? Well, you are certainly welcome to, but doing so is not required. You are only required to respond to one of these questions, and you can choose which one you would like to respond to. So in this case, you could respond to question 1, or you could respond to question 2, or you could do both, but you would not be required to respond to both questions if you do not wish to. With these points in place, let's turn to how I will grade your discussion forum participation. First, I will have a basic length requirement in mind. As described in the weekly assignments area of the syllabus, while there is no length requirement for the response posts that you make, your first post in direct response to the prompt must be at least 100 words. Beyond this, I will grade your discussion participation both in terms of completion and quality. Some of your grade will be determined by just whether you complete the discussion posts as instructed. Do you respond to the specific prompt? Is your first post at least 100 words? Is your post submitted on time? Do you respond within the thread that is already there? In addition, a portion of your grade will also depend on the quality of your post. What I'm looking for here is the following. I want to see that your posts demonstrate you have paid close attention to the reading, perhaps that you make specific references to the reading, and that you are thinking carefully and creatively about what you have read. In addition, when you respond to others, I want your posts to go beyond simple statements like, I agree with what you said, or I disagree. You should aim to make constructive comments that make a significant contribution to the discussion and are intended to move it in a new and interesting direction. Doing this shows not only substantial engagement with the reading and course material, but also significant engagement with what your peers in the class actually think. And I encourage you to take this seriously, because not only will making an effort to discuss the material with your peers reinforce the concepts you need to know to complete the assignments in this class successfully, but it also just is one of the primary ways through which you can develop the skills you need for philosophical discussion, critique, and analysis. Furthermore, for those who consistently make substantial and valuable contributions to the classroom discussion, I would consider rewarding some extra credit, and those students would be eligible to have their grades bumped up at the end of the semester in case you have a borderline grade. There is one final point to make about the discussion forums. As I have emphasized throughout this video, engaging in discussion with your peers is vital for learning philosophy. However, it is also important that we approach discussion with an attitude that is conducive to productive learning and philosophical inquiry. Specifically, when engaging with one another on the forums, it is perfectly acceptable to criticize another's argument. This is, of course, one hallmark of what philosophy is all about, the attempt to gradually approach closer to truth through dialogue, reason, and argument. However, this should always be done in the spirit of attempting to create a community where we can all learn from one another. And that criticism you might make must always be directed toward the ideas and arguments of another person and never toward the person him or herself. When we disagree with another person on some topic, the point is not to make any particular claim about that person, their character, or anything else about them. It is simply to critique the ideas that they hold as part of a collective effort to improve our understanding, sharpen our arguments, and approach the truth as best we can. As such, critique of another should be made from a place of humility and mutual trust. We should keep in mind that we may, and very likely do, have as much to learn from others as they have to learn from us. In any case, keeping this in mind will ensure that our discussion forum participation is governed by a productive and collegial spirit.